Auto drive now enabled.
This is London. You're listening to Buckingham, your source for what they don't want you to know. With me, Tash. It's hard to believe that there could be shortages of food and medicine in an advanced country like ours, and yet here we are. Those old government promises of adequate food turned out to be just another lie. Today we're short of basic foodstuffs and vital medical supplies. Hundreds have already died of conditions that could be easily cured. The black market means that criminal gangs like Clan Kelly run our cities. And Prime Minister Dev Hassani isn't even around to pretend to care. How do we go from a consumer paradise to a place of empty shelves and fighting for supplies? What turns a land of plenty into a wild west of hoarding, food battles and black market barons? We protect everyone who comes on the podcast by keeping their identities a secret. Here's veteran political reporter Ian on the power behind shortages.
I mean, what was the first thing that happened when Britain sealed itself off? The first stuff that got stopped from coming in was fresh food. I mean, we could live without fresh food. I mean, everyone's quality of life got instantly worse when we could live without it. The most damaging part was when the radioactive isotopes stopped coming in. Now, radioactive isotopes, that's what we use in cancer screening, cancer treatment. Now, that stuff, it has a short half-life. Technology used to save hundreds of thousands of lives just by screening for cancer, let alone testing for cancer. But that stuff has a half-life of 66 hours. As soon as those walls went up, there was just no time to bring it into the country, and that is when people started dying. And then the medicines. The thing is, there's loads of medicines that you just can't stockpile. There was a moment before it took place when actually there was some effort to try and stockpile some of the medicines. There was some things that could be done. For a lot of it, there was nothing that could be done. We had a major problem with drugs for schizophrenia. So we saw such an uptick in the kind of attacks that saw in the street and people suffering on their own because they didn't have the mental health drugs, because those drugs simply couldn't be stockpiled. We eventually found the same thing with foods that weren't produced in the UK. And the trouble with the UK was we don't produce our own food. We never had. For 100 years, we produced under half of our own food. So as soon as those walls went up, we started having significant interior problems. And Britain always told itself they had this national myth, right, that it was because it got through the war, it didn't go through any kind of hardship. I mean, that wasn't really the case. People during the war were far more frightened than some of these historical stuff in town. Now, what did you see? People don't have that stuff. They were desperate for the things that they had before, and they were scared. So they went to the black market. The same thing that always happens. And where did the growth of Clan Kelly come from? It came from people wanting the things that they could previously get legitimately and could now only get through the black market, funneling funds towards criminality. From there, we got to the situation we have now of this bit of war between criminals and security that seems to dominate what's going on out there on the streets.
Nothing shakes people's faith in capitalism quite as much as when capitalism fails to deliver. Here's underground writer and analyst Alfie, the politics of poverty.
Can be avoided.
I think what we've come to now is a realisation that capitalism's essentially failed. One key promise of capitalism that it makes to its citizens is that there will be surplus, that we will have plenty, and that's the whole logic for running society in this way, that people will have enough. And now, with these kind of huge shortages of everything, you're seeing that system collapse. It hasn't delivered on its primary promise. And I think we've really reached the situation where we have to do away with capitalism entirely. We're seeing a situation where there's shortages for the many, but for a few individuals, there's an elite who are not struggling and short of anything. So this is kind of fundamental inequality in the capitalist system, which is no longer producing the goods for most of us. Shortages are being used as well. I'm not saying that there isn't a real shortage, there possibly is real shortages. Shortages are being used as an excuse for those in power, those elites, to keep what they want and not give to the rest of us what we need. So the excuse that there's simply not enough to go around is the justification for maintaining a kind of power of the 1% and leaving the rest of us short.
Highways are safe without the end's vigilance.
So if you're starving,
Auto drive now
if your
disabled.
parents can't get their medicine and your brothers and sisters have to
Auto drive now enabled.
Have to steal to eat. Remember, it's all...
Auto drive now disabled.